Hello there. Welcome back to Senior Moves, the art of aging gracefully. I'm your guide and host, Mark Cater. And today we're going to look at our spines and how to maybe relieve some back pain, but also stabilize the spine through a little bit of core work and also connecting all the way to the top of your head, because this is where the issues happen. Are you frozen in your spine? Do you have mobility through all the different areas along the spine? We're going to work on all that today. But we're going to start by working on it on the floor, on your back. So in case you can't come down on the floor, you can do this lying on a table, lying on a couch, lying on a bed, right? Because these simple exercises that we're going to do just require you to be on your back. So figure out what works best for you. And as always, if you have back pain, you want to make sure you maybe clear what we're going to do with your doctor. So I'm going to take a stop in the action real quick. If you don't have neck issues, it's real easy to put your head on the floor and have it aligned, because you're not all arched up through your neck. You can skip this part. But if you do have neck issues, you need to use a pillow underneath your head, or a rolled up blanket, or a towel, so that when you lie on the floor, you're not lying like this, but you have something under your head so that things are much more comfortable for your neck and you don't put your neck in jeopardy. The same thing with your back. If you have back issues and you go to straighten your legs, that might not feel so good on your back. So you could use another blanket, or if you want to go out and buy a bolster, right? This is a yoga bolster. You could have that under your knees, so that when you lie down and you stretch your legs out, you have a sense of curvature, a release in your back, and a release in your shoulders, and that will keep you safe. So lying on your back, all we're going to do is let your legs bend to start with. And think about the bottom of your spine. It's called your sacrum, this wide bone here that the hip bones connect to. And now it could be helpful to close your eyes. Arms can rest at your side. And simply focus on your breath. And it may take a few breaths to kind of settle down and allow your spine to go from the sacrum to the natural curve in your lower back, the lumbar area, right? All the way through the thoracic, which your ribs are joined to. Shoulder blades, you want to think of your shoulder blades being flat on the floor. And just let your arms rest on the floor somewhere. You may like to have them wider. You may have them down closer to your body. I always take my arms out a little wider because I like to feel grounded in my shoulders, and I feel that gives me the best place for my shoulders to be back in place. Rather than letting your shoulders be hunched up, see if your shoulders can be down. And just take a couple of nice full breaths here. So we're going to go back to that Ujjayi breath that we worked the very first lesson. That diaphragmatic breath, looking for the three-dimensionality of your breath. Just take a couple rounds of breath here. Feel how your back, your ribs expand. We're going to add a simple action. That simple action is, on an exhale, you want to press the lower back into the floor, so that space between your lower back and the floor, you try to take that space out. So there's a little bit of tucking action that happens here. And then you simply release, and you may arch the back a little more here. If you have back pain, you may just come back to that idea of flat back. And exhale, again, press. Inhale, release. And as you're doing this, you want to let the energy flow through your shoulders along your neck. So your head is moving from your sacrum at the bottom of the spine. So you can see as I'm doing this simple rocking action, my head moves. And let's come back to that center spot and just kind of wiggle your hips a little side to side. Again, you're just looking for mobility here. And just having the ability to do simple actions. Are your hips frozen? Differentiation now. The idea of moving from your hips, right? Your hip joints. So circling around, allow the lower back to press into the floor. And then the lower back comes off the floor as you press down and around. And again, if you're relaxing all the way through your shoulders, you may find that your head moves a little bit too. Exhale and inhale. So the hollowing on the exhale, the back releases into the floor. And let's switch and go around the other way a few times. Again, nice and easy does it. And doing this simple exercise can loosen up your back if your back is a little stiff. And then come back to that center spot. And just keep your legs bent, but bring your right knee into your chest and just give a little squeeze here. If you have knee issues, just hold underneath the knee. And then switch, bring the other leg in. And then let's take a moment and stretch your legs out. And how does that feel now that you had a chance to move around a little bit in your spine? So again, focusing with your breath, feel that three-dimensionality of your breath. Now when you relax your legs, have your legs turned out, which means your toes are off to the side. And then we're going to do something called a heel rock. It's a simple action. You're still trying to keep those ribs knitted together so the ribs aren't splayed apart and you're overarching your back. If this doesn't feel comfortable under your head, you can put a pillow here. You can have a towel here. And you're looking to have a long neck. So if you find that your jaw's arching way up, just like when you're standing, you want to lengthen through the jawline past your ear to the crown of the head. And a heel rock, all you're doing is pointing and flexing your feet. And the whole body again just moves. Looking for a way to relax through the spine. Let go of the tension between the shoulder blades. And very good. Let's walk the feet back in, bring the arms by your side. And let's do a little lifting of the hips now off the floor, just a couple of inches. And the arms you can quietly press down on the floor. And now we're just going to lift one hip up and then the other, kind of going from side to side. Just a couple more times. So you're going to build some strength here in your glutes, hamstrings. You're working in your core. And come all the way back down. Bring the knees back into your chest. Release your backs. If any time you feel your back is not quite feeling right or starting to stiffen up, which you could, bring the knees into your chest, one or both at the same time. And place the feet back down on the floor. And let's wake up the spine a little more by doing some bridging. Very simple activity here. Stand on your feet and feel yourself lift up along the spine through your shoulder blades and reach down with those arms. And then just massage your back as you come down. Connecting with your breath. Inhale, lift up the spine. And exhale, come down the spine. Inhaling up the spine. Exhaling down the spine. Let's just do two more. Inhaling up and down and up and down. Good. Bring the knees in and reach the legs out. And now to come to sitting, I want you to roll over on your side first. So you can bend your knees even, roll over onto your side. And then from here, you can use that hand, press up, and let's come on to our hands and knees, actually. So the hands are under the shoulders, and the knees are under the hips. You have about a 90-degree angle at the armpit and the hip, so you're not all spread out here. And let's just collapse in your shoulders and then reach out, collapse in your shoulders and reach out, or another way we call this is to do kind of a shoulder push-up here. But you're looking to experience having your shoulders placed. Right, so if I were to be standing and reach my arms out in front, it'd be right here, right? My shoulders aren't up, they're just placed. And they're just placed. Good, now we're just going to round and sway your back here. Exhale, round, inhale, sway. Again, you're trying to keep that sense of connectedness in the solar plexus. You're reaching out with your fingers. There's some cupping in the palms. The inner elbow can be wrapped around toward the front. And let's go ahead and circle the hips around now. And again, you can play with this, circling the hips, circling through your shoulders and the neck. And then switch and go around the other way. Are you breathing, inhaling and exhaling? And we're going to sit back in something called child's pose. So your big toes can touch. You can take your knees apart and reach back. Now, you may not go very far back. Maybe you're up here somewhere. But the idea is to not release forward into your head, but you're reaching back into your hips. And take a couple more breaths. Just allowing your breath to open up your back and help you to express breath through the ribs and along the spine, through your shoulders and the neck. And good, let's come up onto your knees. Now, if you can't do some of this, you can just be sitting in a chair. So on your knees, the toes may be curled under, maybe the tops of your feet are to the floor. Maybe it doesn't feel good being on your knees, that's possible. Sit in a chair, that's also okay. Hands at your hips. So from here, we're just going to roll down and up the spine. So again, spinal flexibility. And when you do this, you want to see how close you can bring your head to the floor, how much space you can keep between your heels and butt, and then come all the way back up again. To add your breath, exhale as you go down. Inhale as you come up. And this is one of the 5 Tibetan yoga postures, which I'll get to in a future video. We'll go through all of those, which is something that you could do on a regular basis too. Exhaling down, inhaling up. So just this simple action of moving down the spine, all these little muscles that connect vertebrae to vertebrae, also along either side of the spinal column, have to activate. And remember, we were working with our feet a little bit, so curl the toes under and see if you can flex through those feet. Now, if you're just sitting in a chair, all you're doing is just taking this down towards your lap and then coming all the way back up again. So just that simple action right here, just this simple action brings you up the spine and down the spine. Last one. We've worked the spine now, lying on your back, coming over onto your hands and knees, coming up on your knees, right? And now let's come up to standing. So now we're standing, we're going to take some spinal rolls from the standing position. I want you to bend your legs as you do this. So the muscles in your legs have to fire, and also it'll be a little easier on your back. So once again, arms just rest at your side. All we're going to do is roll down and up the spine. starting with the crown of your head. There's a scooping and howling. Start to bend your legs and just release forward. Focus on a spot with your eyes. So if you feel a little, I don't know if I can go so deep, right? That's okay. You can use your hands going right along your legs. And maybe you're only going to go so far and then come up. Maybe you need to stand and hold on to something. That's always good too, right? So whatever you need to do, but once again, you're trying to find connection from your feet all the way through the top of your head. Exhale as you go down, so here's that sense of ujjayi breath. Inhale as you come up. Nice full breath. You might even arch and lift at the top, and then reach with your head. If you're not sure about this, stop at the bottom and just kind of hang out. Shake out your head and shoulders. And then take your hands and put them right at the top, right where your sacrum is. And then guide yourself to tuck the pelvis under, and the arms just come down your legs as you roll up your spine. And let's just do that 2 more times. Connecting with your breath. Inhaling up. And then one last time, exhaling over. And inhaling, coming all the way up. And just stand there for a moment. How does your spine feel? Feel grounded in your feet. After you've done those foot exercises from the previous video, I hope you're doing them on a daily basis or every other day or a couple times a week anyway. And remember, you can do those foot exercises even with your shoes on, though it's preferable to take those shoes off. You just stand, notice the energy within. How are you feeling now that you've moved around in a fuller range of motion? How does your back feel? So standing, bend your knees, and we're going to repeat what we did lying on our backs. The idea of having mobility through your spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. And as you do any of these movement patterns, you want to notice where do you feel like you're stuck. And you may not be able to tell yet. It may take a while. But letting the free energy, and I'm not using a lot of effort here. It's pretty quiet. Exhaling, inhaling, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Slow is really good. Connected to breath. And good. Come to that center spot. And then we're going to take the hips and just move them from side to side. Yeah? Side to side. Okay? And then we're going to take them in that circling action. And there's a difference between isolating in your hip joints, right? Around in your hips. So you can see my head stays pretty quiet right at the top. Or, here's another way that people often do it who are a little stuck in their hips and don't understand how to release their hip joints, right, is you're going around this way, right? So here, and this is okay to do, it's just not as functionally releasing in the hips as the other way, right? But this way, as you come around, you're connecting into your core here. But what we want to try to do is isolate here around. It's like, you know, break out your old hula skirt or your hula hoop, right, and get that hula hoop going. Let's go around the other way. Again, it can be slow, but you're trying to find your way through. I always find it helpful to bend the legs, close my eyes, and breathe. You might inhale halfway around, exhale half. You might inhale all the way around, exhale all the way around. And just kind of shake it out. Well, that's it for a look at your spine. If you have questions about it, please put them in the comments, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Spinal mobility, spinal flexibility connects to your core. Spinal flexibility can release back pain. Spinal flexibility can ground you into the earth. Spinal flexibility can also help you as you move through life as you age gracefully with Senior Moves. So I'm Mark Cater. Thanks for joining me today. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what we did. Again, if you have questions, make sure you put them in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. And also, you might subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit that bell. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day. And so, focus on your breath. How are you working with your feet? And then connecting the breath through the spine, down to your feet, as we are connecting all the bits of ourselves. So have a wonderful, wonderful day.